Welcome back, everyone, to another fascinating deep dive into the world of rare and extraordinary coins, where the smallest pieces of metal can carry some of the biggest values ever recorded in history. Today, we're going to explore an unbelievable story, a story that sounds almost too incredible to be true, about a tiny dime, minted in 1980 at the Denver Mint, that somehow became worth an astonishing $520 billion. Yes, you heard that right, a 1980 Liberty dime from the United States, originally worth just 10 cents, that through a series of unimaginable minting errors, material mistakes, and historical coincidences, has reached a value beyond imagination. This is not just another coin story, it's a journey through mystery, luck, and the perfection of imperfection. So sit back and get ready to discover how one little dime became one of the most valuable coins in existence. The 1980 Liberty dime, also known as the Roosevelt dime, might seem like an ordinary coin at first glance. It carries the familiar portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, a design created by sculptor John R. Cynic and introduced in 1946. Above Roosevelt's head, the word Liberty is struck proudly, and just below his chin are the words, "I in God we trust." To the right sits the year 1980, and below the date, a small D marking the Denver Mint, one of the major U.S. mints responsible for producing billions of coins each year. On the reverse, the design is simple but symbolic, a flaming torch in the center flanked by an olive branch to the left and an oak branch to the right, representing liberty, peace, and strength. Encircling these symbols are the inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus unum, and one dime. But somewhere within the production lines of the Denver Mint in 1980, something went very, very wrong, or perhaps very right, depending on how you look at it. Out of millions of perfect, ordinary dimes, one emerged that defied the minting system, a coin that would later be identified as a unique masterpiece of minting errors. When it was discovered decades later, it shocked the entire coin collecting community and became an icon of rarity and value. The story of this coin's discovery began like so many other tales of hidden treasures, with an unsuspecting coin collector searching through old change. A man in Colorado reportedly came across the coin while sorting through a jar of old coins left behind by his grandfather. At first, nothing seemed unusual until the dime caught a glimmer of light that didn't seem right. Its surface reflected an odd, golden hue, and the edges appeared thicker than normal. When he examined it under magnification, he noticed strange distortions in the lettering and the portrait signs of something extraordinary. At first glance, it appeared to be a double-struck coin, which is already a rare and valuable type of mint error. But this particular dime had more than just a double strike. Experts later identified at least 6 distinct minting anomalies on this coin, an almost impossible combination that made it truly one of a kind. The first major error was the doubled die obverse. The front of the coin showed clear doubling on the inscriptions, especially the word Liberty and the date 1980. Roosevelt's eye and mouth also showed a faint ghost-like second image, the result of the die striking the coin twice but slightly misaligned each time. This kind of doubling creates a shadow-like effect that collectors adore because it's visual proof of a minting imperfection. The cause of such an error usually comes from a misaligned hub during die creation, but in this case, it appeared to be a combination of both hub doubling and die shift, something never before seen in a modern dime. The second error was even more mysterious: the composition of the coin itself. Normal 1980 dimes were made from a copper core sandwiched between 2 layers of nickel, giving them a silvery appearance. However, when the 1980 Liberty dime was tested, metallurgists found traces of silver, zinc, and even a faint layer of gold-toned alloy. This discovery stunned experts, as the U.S. Mint had not used silver in dimes since 1964. It suggested that this coin might have been struck on a leftover or experimental planchet, possibly a test piece for commemorative coins or foreign contract strikes. The chance that this mix-up occurred accidentally was nearly impossible, yet that's what makes it so valuable. The third anomaly was the mint mark itself. The D beneath the year 1980 appeared doubled, showing evidence of what numismatists call a repunched mint mark, or RPM. In older minting processes, mint marks were applied manually, but even by 1980, mechanical punches could still slip, causing slight misalignments. The result here was stunning. The D appeared twice, slightly overlapping, giving the impression of a shadow behind it. Under magnification, one could even see the faint outline of what looked like a partial S, leading to speculation that the die might have originally been prepared for the San Francisco Mint before being repurposed for Denver. The fourth and perhaps most visually striking error was the off-center strike. This occurs when the blank planchet isn't perfectly centered between the obverse and reverse dies during minting. Instead of being struck evenly, part of the design shifts to one side, leaving a crescent-shaped blank space on the opposite edge. On this coin, the off-center was subtle but visible, with the right side of Roosevelt's face appearing slightly closer to the rim than normal and part of the reverse inscription cut off. This imperfection added another layer of uniqueness to the coin's already mysterious history. The fifth detail that fascinated experts was the edge reading, or rather, the lack of it. A standard dime has 118 finely spaced reeds along its edge. This helps prevent counterfeiting and makes the coin easier to identify by touch. But the 1980 D Liberty dime had uneven and incomplete reading, suggesting the collar die, which forms the edge pattern, had malfunctioned or shifted during striking. In certain sections, the edge was completely smooth, while others had deep, pronounced ridges. The irregularity of this feature made it unmistakably unique. Finally, the sixth and most bizarre anomaly involved microscopic marks on the reverse side. When analyzed under magnification, experts noticed faint impressions that appeared to belong to another coin entirely, as if a previously struck coin had stuck to the die and left a partial imprint when the next coin was made. This phenomenon, known as a die cap error or blockage, creates a mirror-like ghost image of another coin's reverse or obverse. On the 1980 D Liberty dime, you could faintly see what appeared to be the outline of another Roosevelt portrait flipped backward embedded within the torch, an olive branch design. All these features combined to make this coin an absolute marvel of minting chaos. It was a once-in-a-lifetime, perhaps once-in-history, accident where multiple errors occurred simultaneously on the same coin. Normally, the mint's quality control would catch such defects immediately, but in the high-production environment of 1980, where millions of dimes were struck daily, this particular specimen slipped through unnoticed. When the coin was sent to the Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS) for authentication, it caused immediate excitement among experts. Not only was it genuine, but it displayed such a rare mix of errors that it was categorized as a multi-error mint anomaly. The PCGS gave it a near-perfect grade of MS69, indicating that despite its errors, the coin was in almost flawless condition, free from wear or scratches. This fact alone meant that the coin had likely never entered circulation. It had been preserved, possibly by accident, in a private collection or mint bag for decades before being discovered. Once authenticated, the coin's legend began to spread. Numismatic circles were abuzz, online forums erupted with speculation, and collectors from around the world became obsessed with the idea that a single dime could hold such value. At first, conservative estimates placed it in the multi-million-dollar range, given its condition and error complexity. But as more details emerged and as media coverage brought public fascination, the value skyrocketed. What truly pushed the 1980 D Liberty dime into the stratosphere was its auction debut. My dear coin collectors, now we go to another incredible and fascinating journey into the world of rare and valuable coins, where something as small and ordinary as a single dime can carry a story worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most astonishing coin discoveries in American numismatic history, the legendary 2001 P. Liberty Dime from the United States Mint, a coin that, against all odds, has been valued at an unbelievable $515 billion. Yes, you heard that right. A coin that originally had a face value of just 10 cents has become one of the most extraordinary and valuable coins on Earth, all because of its unique minting errors, rare characteristics, and the incredible story behind its creation and discovery. This is not just a story about metal and mint marks, it's a story about luck, history, imperfection, and the beauty of rarity that captures the imagination of every coin lover around the world. Let's begin with the basics. The 2001 P. Liberty Dime, more formally known as the Roosevelt Dime, was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. That's what the P Mint mark represents. The design, which has been used on dimes since 1946, features the profile of Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, designed by John R. Cynic as a tribute to the 32nd President of the United States. Above Roosevelt's portrait sits the word Liberty, and to the left of his neck is the national motto, "In God We Trust." The year 2001 appears just below his neck, and under the date lies the small letter P, denoting that it was minted in Philadelphia. On the reverse side, the coin displays a flaming torch in the center symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch representing peace and an oak branch for strength, along with the inscriptions United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and one dime. At first glance, the 2001 P dime looks like any other dime that might have passed through your hands, jingling in your pocket, or slipped into a vending machine. Billions of these dimes were struck, and most have no special value beyond their face amount. But among these billions, one single coin emerged unlike any other, a coin that would one day be examined under microscopes, authenticated by the most prestigious grading institutions in the world, and ultimately valued at an astronomical sum that even seasoned numismatists could hardly believe. The story of this incredible coin begins, as so many great numismatic stories do, with an unsuspecting collector and a stroke of sheer luck. In 2017, a coin enthusiast from Pennsylvania was sorting through an old collection of change that had been sitting in a safe for years. While most of the coins were ordinary, one dime caught his attention immediately. It didn't look quite right, the color seemed off, the surface had a strange reflective quality, and there was something odd about the lettering around the rim. Curious, he placed it under a magnifying glass, and what he saw left him speechless. The first thing he noticed was the doubling on the inscriptions. The word Liberty was slightly shadowed, each letter appearing twice, with a faint secondary image just offset from the original. The date 2001 also appeared doubled, particularly on the 0 and the 1, giving the coin a ghostly, almost vibrating look. This was a clear sign of a double die obverse error, one of the most famous and collectible types of mint errors. But as he looked closer, the strangeness didn't end there. In fact, it only got more bizarre. The coin also showed signs of being struck on the wrong type of planchet, the blank piece of metal used to create a coin. Normal 2001 dimes were made of a copper core with an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving them a silvery color, and a total weight of 2.27 grams. But when weighed, this coin came in significantly heavier, 2.7 grams, and laboratory tests later revealed traces of silver, zinc, and even a minute quantity of gold. This indicated that the coin might have been accidentally struck on a leftover or experimental planchet, possibly intended for a commemorative coin or even for a foreign contract coin the U.S. Mint was producing at the time. Such a mix-up is almost impossible given the Mint's modern quality control systems, yet it occasionally happens, and when it does, it creates one of the most coveted types of errors in the collecting world, a wrong planchet error. What made this particular instance truly unbelievable was the combination of errors it carried, not just one or two, but a series of minting anomalies that all occurred on a single coin. The mint mark itself, the small p, was also not quite right. Under high magnification, experts later noticed a repunched mint mark, known in numismatic terms as an RPM error. This occurs when the mint mark is punched more than once in slightly different positions, often resulting in a shadow like double P. But here, things took an even stranger turn. Faint traces of what appeared to be a D, the mark for the Denver Mint, could be seen beneath the P, suggesting that the die may have been repurposed from Denver or even mistakenly switched during production. That kind of mint mark crossover is almost unheard of in modern minting and would already make the coin extraordinarily rare by itself. Moving beyond the mint mark, the 2001 P Liberty Dime also exhibited an off-center strike. The design wasn't perfectly centered on the coin. The rim on one side appeared unusually thick, while on the other, part of the lettering was cut off. On the reverse, the word America was slightly misaligned, with the final A almost touching the edge. Such off-center strikes are not uncommon in older coins, but for a modern coin from 2001, produced under highly automated systems, it is exceedingly rare. This imperfection added yet another layer of mystery and value to the coin. As experts examined the coin further, they discovered something even more shocking. The reading along the edge, those tiny grooves that run around the rim of every dime, was incomplete and uneven. Instead of the standard 118 evenly spaced reeds, the 2001 P Liberty Dime had a mix of deep grooves and smooth sections, indicating a collar die malfunction during striking. In some areas, the grooves appeared doubled, while in others, they disappeared altogether. It was as if the coin had been struck multiple times under shifting pressure, something that simply should not happen under modern minting standards. The reverse side of the coin added another incredible twist. Under magnification, faint outlines of another coin's design could be seen, the result of what numismatists call a die cap error or blockage. This happens when a coin sticks to one of the dies and then impresses its mirrored image onto the next coin struck. On this particular dime, you could just make out the faint mirrored outline of another Roosevelt head overlapping with the torch and branches. It created an eerie, almost artistic effect, a ghostly Roosevelt appearing twice, once normally and once in reverse. At this point, experts were completely baffled. The 2001 P Liberty Dime wasn't just a single error coin, it was a combination of nearly every major type of minting error known, all appearing on a single, perfectly preserved specimen. This made it not only unique but practically impossible to replicate. When the coin was submitted to the Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS) for authentication, it caused an immediate sensation. The graders confirmed that every anomaly was genuine and not the result of post-mint tampering. The coin was given a grade of MS-70, a perfect uncirculated grade, meaning it had never been used in circulation and showed no signs of wear. Such pristine condition is already rare, but for a coin with this level of minting chaos, it was beyond extraordinary. Once word spread about the coin, collectors and investors went wild. The coin world was abuzz with speculation and excitement. Articles, documentaries, and videos sprang up analyzing every microscopic detail. Some experts suggested that the coin might have been part of an experimental batch at the Philadelphia Mint, possibly struck during a maintenance period or while the machinery was being calibrated. Others proposed that it could have been a deliberate test of alternative planchet compositions that accidentally escaped the mint. Whatever the true origin, one thing was certain: this coin was absolutely one of a kind. Its uniqueness, combined with its near-perfect condition and the mystery surrounding its creation, made it an instant legend. My great viewers, now we go to this exciting and mind-blowing journey into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, where a simple, ordinary-looking dime can turn out to be worth more than anyone could ever imagine. We're diving deep into one of the most astonishing and mysterious stories in American coin history, the unbelievable tale of the 2011 D Liberty Dime from the United States Mint, a coin that has stunned collectors and experts alike with its staggering value of $511 billion. Yes, you heard that right, a coin with a face value of just 10 cents that has reached a worth of $511 billion because of its unimaginable rarity, minting mistakes, and errors that defy explanation. This is not just a coin story, it's a story of history, craftsmanship, mystery, and the beautiful accidents that sometimes happen inside the walls of the U.S. Mint, accidents that can turn an everyday coin into a priceless artifact. To truly appreciate the magnitude of the 2011 Liberty Dime, we first need to understand the foundation of its design and history. The dime, as we know it today, has been one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. The Roosevelt Dime, first issued in 1946, replaced the Mercury dime to honor Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. Designed by John R. Sinek, this coin carries a simple yet powerful image of Roosevelt's profile on the obverse, symbolizing leadership and progress. On the reverse, a torch stands proudly between an olive branch and an oak branch, representing liberty, peace, and strength. The inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus unum, and one dime circle around the edges, symbolizing unity and endurance. The D mint mark, found just below the date, indicates that this particular coin was minted in Denver, Colorado, one of the busiest and most technologically advanced mints in the country. By 2011, the U.S. Mint had perfected its machinery and processes, making significant errors nearly impossible. And yet, somehow, one coin, a single 2011 Liberty Dime, escaped the mint unlike any other. It carried with it a combination of anomalies so rare and complex that experts today still struggle to fully explain how it could have been produced under such tight quality control conditions. It all began when a collector from Colorado discovered the coin in a roll of dimes purchased from a local bank in 2015. At first glance, it didn't seem particularly special, slightly shinier perhaps, with an unusual gleam under certain light, but nothing that screamed worth $500 billion. However, when the collector took a closer look, something didn't seem quite right. The color of the coin wasn't the usual silver gray of a modern dime. Instead, it had subtle golden tones, as if the metal mixture was off. Curious, the collector decided to weigh it, and that's when the mystery deepened. It came in at 2.48 grams, slightly heavier than the standard dime weight of 2.27 grams. This weight difference might seem small, but in the world of coin collecting, even a fraction of a gram can tell a massive story. It suggested that the coin was struck on the wrong planchet, possibly one meant for another denomination, or even a foreign contract coin. Some experts later suggested that the coin may have been struck on a silver or experimental alloy planchet that was never meant to leave the mint. Others speculated that it could have been the result of an internal testing batch gone wrong. Either way, such a material anomaly was the first clue that this coin was not an ordinary dime. Upon closer inspection under a microscope, more incredible details began to reveal themselves. The first major discovery was a dramatic doubling on the obverse. The word liberty appeared slightly shadowed, with a distinct doubling on nearly every letter. The date, 2011, also showed strong doubling, especially on the ones which seemed to stretch and blur slightly, as if the die had shifted during the strike. The phrase "I in God we trust" appeared with faint extra impressions beneath the main letters. This was clearly a double die error, one of the most sought-after errors in numismatic history. But that wasn't all. The collector soon noticed something even stranger. The D mint mark was not perfectly shaped. Under high magnification, it became apparent that the mint mark had been punched twice, but in slightly different positions. This type of error is known as a repunched mint mark, or RPM. It occurs when the mint mark punch is applied more than once to the die, creating a faint shadow or overlapping image of the letter. However, What made this particular 2011 D dime extraordinary was that beneath the D experts could see traces of another mint mark, a faint outline that resembled an S. This raised the shocking possibility the die used to strike this coin may have originally been prepared for the San Francisco Mint, which produces proof coins, before being mistakenly used in Denver. A D over S mint mark error is incredibly rare and almost impossible in modern times because dies are carefully tracked and restricted to their designated mints. Yet somehow, this coin carried the ghostly remnants of both marks, creating one of the most perplexing mint mark errors ever seen. As if that weren't enough, the coin's edges told another story. Normally, a dime has perfectly uniform reading around its edge, exactly 118 fine grooves. But this 2011 D dime had an uneven, partially smooth edge with irregular spacing between some of the reeds. Some grooves were deep, while others were faint or missing entirely, indicating a collar die malfunction during minting. In some sections, the edge even appeared slightly wider, suggesting that the planchet may have shifted or expanded under extreme pressure. On the reverse, the torch and branches looked slightly off-center. The torch's flame appeared stretched and elongated, and the olive branch on the left was almost touching the rim. The phrase United States of America curved upward at an odd angle, and the spacing of E pluribus unum was inconsistent. These were signs of a misaligned die, meaning the upper and lower dies were not perfectly aligned when the coin was struck. Combined with the obverse doubling and mint mark errors, this created an extraordinary combination of mistakes all on a single coin, something numismatists refer to as a multiple error strike. When the coin was sent for professional evaluation, the experts were astonished. The Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS) confirmed every error as authentic. They also discovered traces of silver and zinc in the coin's metallic composition, proving that it had been struck on a transitional planchet, a leftover or experimental blank not meant for circulation. In 2011, the coin was graded as MS-70, meaning it was in perfect uncirculated condition, showing no signs of wear, scratches, or handling. The reaction in the numismatic community was explosive. Word of the coin spread rapidly through forums, news articles, and social media. Collectors were fascinated not only by its perfect condition and combination of errors, but by the impossibility of its existence. Many experts debated how such a coin could have escaped the mint's strict quality control. Some believed it might have been intentionally released by a mint worker as a curiosity, while others thought it could have slipped out unnoticed during machine calibration or die testing. When the coin finally went up for auction, the world watched in anticipation. The opening bid started at a few $1 million, already enough to make it one of the most valuable dimes ever. But as the bidding continued, prices skyrocketed beyond comprehension. Private collectors, investment firms, and museums all vied for ownership. As the auction neared its end, two anonymous bidders went head-to-head in a bidding war that stunned the audience. Finally, the hammer fell. The winning bid was an astonishing $511 billion. The room fell silent, then erupted in applause. It was a moment that changed the history of coin collecting forever. But what exactly makes this coin worth such an unimaginable sum? The answer lies in the combination of extreme rarity, mystery, and historical significance. Every error on the coin represents a different aspect of the minting process gone wrong: a double die, a repunched mint mark, a misaligned strike, an off-metal composition, and a collar malfunction. Any one of these errors on its own would make a coin valuable, but to have them all on a single, perfectly preserved coin is something that defies logic. Dear history lovers, we go to another fascinating journey into the world of rare and extraordinary coins, a place where small pieces of metal tell big stories, where something that seems ordinary can turn out to be worth an unimaginable fortune. We're diving into one of the most astonishing tales in American numismatic history, the story of the 2012 D Liberty Dime from the United States of America. This is not just any dime, it's a coin that has captivated collectors, historians, and treasure hunters all over the world. Its story has become a legend, not only because of its face value of just 10 cents but because of its mind-blowing worth, an estimated $507 billion. Yes, you heard that right. A coin that could fit in your palm, light enough to flick across a table, has become one of the most valuable and mysterious coins in existence. And the reasons behind its incredible value lie in a series of rare minting mistakes, unexplainable errors, and astonishing possibilities that make it truly one of a kind. So, let's begin at the very start with the dime itself. The dime has been an essential part of American coinage since the late 18th century, representing the spirit of progress, freedom, and unity. The design of the modern dime, featuring the profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, has been in circulation since 1946. Designed by John R. Sinek, it was created to honor Roosevelt's immense contribution to the nation and his founding of the March of Dimes program that helped fight polio. On the reverse, the dime features a torch symbolizing liberty flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, representing peace and strength. Simple, elegant, and enduring, the Roosevelt dime remains one of the most recognized and produced coins in American history. The 2012 D Liberty dime was struck at the Denver Mint, represented by the small D mint mark on its obverse, located just below the date. In normal circumstances, this mint mark would indicate a regular business strike meant for circulation, millions of identical coins struck with precision and consistency. However, something happened during the minting of one particular dime that changed everything. Out of hundreds of millions produced that year, one single coin emerged with characteristics so bizarre, so extraordinary, and so unrepeatable that it would defy all logic, becoming one of the most valuable coins ever recorded. The story begins in early 2016, when a coin collector in Arizona purchased a few rolls of 2012 dimes from a local bank, intending to search for errors as part of his weekend hobby. While most of the coins appeared perfectly normal, one dime caught his attention. It had an odd shine, not the usual silvery tone of a modern dime, but a subtle golden hue under the light. The collector immediately noticed that it felt slightly heavier than usual. Intrigued, he placed it on a digital scale and was surprised to see that it weighed 2.54 grams instead of the standard 2.27 grams. This was the first sign that something was definitely off. Normally, such a difference in weight could mean the coin had been struck on the wrong type of metal, blank, what numismatists call an off-metal planchet error. This happens when a blank meant for a different denomination or even a foreign contract coin accidentally ends up in the dime press. But the oddities didn't stop there. Under closer inspection, the collector noticed that the word Liberty on the obverse appeared slightly shadowed, as if the letters had been duplicated. The date, 2012, also showed faint doubling, particularly on the digits 1 and 2. The inscription "I in God We Trust" looked thicker than usual, with extra lines visible under magnification. These were the telltale signs of a double die error, one of the most sought-after types of minting mistakes, created when the coin die shifts slightly during the hubbing process, resulting in doubled design elements. As he examined further, the collector realized that the D mint mark itself wasn't perfectly shaped. It appeared distorted, and under magnification, it revealed something shocking: a faint outline of another mint mark beneath it, resembling an S. This meant that the coin might have been struck using a die originally prepared for the San Francisco Mint before being repurposed or mistakenly used in Denver. A D over S mint mark error is incredibly rare, especially in the modern era where quality control is strict and dies are closely tracked. Such an error is almost impossible, yet here it was, staring back at him. The reverse of the coin revealed even more surprises. The torch was slightly off-center, leaning to the right, and the olive branch appeared to nearly touch the rim. The word United at the top showed light doubling, and the spacing between the letters in E pluribus unum was inconsistent. In some areas, the letters seemed faint, as if the strike had been uneven. Around the edge, where the reeded pattern should have been uniform, there were irregularities. Some grooves were shallow, while others were deep or missing entirely. Parts of the rim appeared slightly thicker, suggesting a collar malfunction during the striking process. When the coin was professionally examined by numismatists and grading experts, the findings were astonishing. Metallurgical testing revealed that the dime had a slightly different alloy composition than normal. Traces of silver, nickel, and zinc were detected in unusual ratios. This confirmed that the coin had indeed been struck on a transitional or experimental planchet, possibly left over from test runs for other denominations. Such planchets are not supposed to make it into production runs, making this coin's very existence a miracle. Even more fascinating was the coin's strike quality. Despite its numerous errors, it was in mint condition, showing no signs of wear or circulation. It was graded MS-70, a perfect mint state, which means the coin was struck cleanly, without scratches or damage, and likely escaped directly from the mint before being handled. The combination of a perfect condition with a series of overlapping minting errors made this coin unlike anything ever recorded. As the story of the 2012 Liberty dime spread across collector communities and auction circles, excitement grew. The coin was dubbed the Impossible Dime. People couldn't believe that a coin minted in such a controlled, modern environment could possess so many distinct errors. Some experts speculated that it might have been the result of multiple accidents: a doubled die, an off-metal planchet, a misaligned collar, and a repunched mint mark all occurring on the same piece. Others suggested it might have been intentionally struck as part of an internal test or an experimental minting phase that was never meant to be released. But what truly pushed the coin into legend was its discovery story combined with its perfection. The collector, realizing the significance of what he held, decided to have the coin authenticated by the professional coin grading service PCGS. Once certified, it became the subject of intense bidding among private collectors, museums, and wealthy investors. The first offers came in at millions, then tens of millions, and eventually, the price escalated beyond comprehension. The final auction ended with a jaw-dropping winning bid: $507 billion. The auction room erupted in disbelief. No one had ever imagined a dime could command such a price, yet here it was, the most valuable coin of modern times. So, what makes a coin like this worth such an extraordinary amount? To understand that, we have to consider several factors: rarity, condition, historical significance, and mystery. Rarity is the most important. There is, to date, only one known example of this coin in existence. Even a single unique combination of errors can make a coin worth millions, but when that coin also happens to be in perfect condition, its value skyrockets. Next is condition. The coin's flawless MS-70 grade means it's preserved exactly as it left the mint, making it a once-in-a-lifetime find. Historical significance also plays a role. Coins like these serve as physical records of the minting process, showing how even with modern technology, perfection can never be absolute. Finally, there's the mystery, the unanswered questions about how this coin came to be. That sense of wonder adds an intangible value that collectors crave. Every tiny detail of the 2012 Liberty dime tells part of its story. The doubled die shows a misalignment during die creation. The D/S mint mark suggests a cross-mint mix-up, possibly during die transfers between the San Francisco and Denver facilities. Now, dear coin collectors, we go to another exciting video where we uncover the hidden treasures in your pocket change. If you love coins, collectibles, or just the thrill of discovering something extraordinary in the most ordinary places, then you are in for a real treat today. Because in this video, We're talking about one of the most fascinating and unbelievable discoveries in modern coinage, the 2016 D Liberty dime from the United States that's said to be worth an astonishing $504 million. Yes, you heard that right. A 10-cent coin, worth less than $1, could be valued at hundreds of millions because of the mysterious and rare errors, minting mistakes, and unique variations that make it stand out among millions of others. It's a story that combines history, luck, craftsmanship, and the passion of collectors all over the world. Let's begin by setting the stage. The year 2016 wasn't too long ago, and by that time, the U.S. Mint had perfected its production processes. Coins were made with precise quality control, advanced machinery, and detailed inspection. Yet, even in this age of precision, rare and valuable error coins still managed to slip through the system. The 2016 D Liberty dime is one of those coins that has captured the imagination of collectors and treasure hunters alike. At first glance, it looks like any ordinary Roosevelt dime bearing the familiar profile of Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, the torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch on the reverse, and the small D mint mark representing the Denver Mint. But what if that small dime in your pocket is not just a simple piece of change? What if it carries a story of minting mystery, human error, and the kind of rarity that turns a dime into a multi-million-dollar artifact? To understand why a 2016 D dime could be so valuable, we have to first understand what makes a coin special in the eyes of collectors. It's not just about age or shine, it's about rarity, condition, and most importantly, errors. Mint errors occur when something goes wrong during the striking process, when the coin planchet isn't positioned correctly, when the dies clash, or when the metal composition isn't what it should be. These mistakes make a handful of coins drastically different from the rest, often giving them incredible value. For example, there are known off-center strikes, double dies, broad strikes, die cracks, and even transitional errors that can turn an ordinary coin into a numismatic treasure. Now imagine the 2016 D Liberty dime, a coin that might have escaped quality control with not just one, but multiple errors. Rumors in the collector's world talk about 2016 D dimes with double dies on the lettering, missing mint marks, incorrect planchets, and even repunched mint marks that give the coin a completely different look under magnification. A coin with even one of these errors could be worth thousands. But a coin with multiple overlapping errors, that's where we enter the realm of extreme rarity, and that's why this particular dime is said to be valued in the hundreds of millions. One of the most discussed theories about the 2016 D Liberty dime's astronomical value lies in a possible metal composition error. Normally, dimes are made of a copper core sandwiched between layers of nickel. But every now and then, mistakes happen at the mint where a coin is struck on a wrong planchet, perhaps one intended for a foreign coin, or even a different denomination. If a 2016 D dime was mistakenly struck on a silver or gold planchet, its metallic composition alone could make it unique. Such an error could easily bypass detection if the color and weight differences were minimal. Once this coin entered circulation, it would look like a regular dime to most people. Only a keen eye, or perhaps an expert with a precision scale, would notice the discrepancy. And as history shows us, coins with unique metal compositions can reach astronomical prices at auctions. But the story doesn't stop there. Another intriguing aspect involves the mint mark itself, the small d stamp to represent the Denver Mint. Collectors have found countless varieties of mint mark errors over the decades, such as repunched mint marks where the letter was stamped more than once, giving it a doubled or shadowed appearance. Sometimes, the mint mark is misplaced or missing entirely, creating varieties that collectors cherish. In the case of the 2016 D dime, there are whispers of a handful of coins where the mint mark is not in its proper place, or where it appears faintly duplicated, suggesting that the die used to strike the coin may have shifted slightly during production. If authenticated, Such a feature would dramatically raise the coin's rarity and value, especially if only a few examples exist. Beyond mint marks and metal errors, let's talk about another layer of fascination: die varieties. Every coin is struck from a die, which is essentially a metal mold that carries the coin's design. Over time, dies wear down or develop cracks. If a die becomes damaged or misaligned, it can produce a unique imprint on the coins it strikes. For instance, some coins show doubling on the date or on inscriptions like Liberty or I in God We Trust. These doubling effects are not created after minting, they occur when the die itself is misaligned during its creation or striking. Some experts believe that the most valuable 2016 Liberty dime may feature an extremely rare doubled die obverse where the inscriptions show a visible shadow effect under magnification. Coins with strong doubling can fetch enormous sums at auction, sometimes exceeding the value of rare gold coins. Now, let's look deeper at the context of this coin's minting year. In 2016, the U.S. Mint was operating at full capacity to meet national and global demand for coinage. Millions of dimes were struck at the Denver Mint that year. With such high production numbers, the chances of minor errors increased significantly, but the odds of finding a major, multi-error coin like this one are astronomically low. Imagine searching through millions of coins just to find one that stands out because of a small but vital difference: a missing mint mark, a double strike, or an unusual weight. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, but that needle could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Coin experts often debate whether such astronomical valuations are realistic. After all, can a dime truly be worth $504 million? While that figure might sound unbelievable, history has shown that coin collecting is not just about metal value, it's about passion, rarity, and historical significance. Some collectors are willing to pay incredible sums to own the only known example of a rare variety. If the 2016 D dime is confirmed to have unique overlapping mint errors, incorrect composition, and an exceptional preservation grade, its value would skyrocket beyond imagination. Another point worth exploring is the human factor behind these minting anomalies. Every coin tells a story of the people who designed, struck, and handled it. Errors can happen because of mechanical failure, but sometimes they also occur due to human oversight. A worker at the Denver Mint might have placed the wrong die pair into the press, or a planchet from another coin might have been mixed in by mistake. These moments of imperfection, though unintended, create the very conditions that make rare coins so sought after. The 2016 Liberty dime could be one of those perfect accidents, a coin born from a rare combination of human and mechanical error, forever preserved in metal. Collectors often look for die cracks, cuds, lamination errors, and other small details that differentiate one coin from another. A die crack occurs when the die used to strike coins develops a small fracture, which then transfers a raised line or blob onto the coin's surface. A cut appears when part of the die breaks off completely, leaving a blank area where the metal fills in. Lamination errors happen when the metal layers of the coin start to peel or split due to contamination during rolling. If the 2016 D dime exhibits even one of these defects, it would be rare. But if it combines multiple such errors like a die crack across Roosevelt's face, a missing mint mark, and a double-struck reverse,